Previously on Utah Tales, we came searching for the legendary view of the 26th floor, a place many still believe is open, though public access has quietly closed for good. The door we hoped for stayed shut, so we followed what opened instead. The city creek that exists more in name than in water, Temple Square's quiet path, the grand halls of the Joseph Smith building, water whispering along the reflection pool, and from that stillness a new direction revealed itself. When we stepped outside of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, the air felt sharper, clearer, as if the city had been holding its breath while we were inside, and finally let it go. The city greeted us with color, a raised bed of overflowing with hyacinths blooming as if they'd been waiting for us. Pink, yellow, blue, purple, little bursts of spring rising from the soil like tiny lanterns. We headed toward the conference center. Our path led us past the reflection pool. Tiny waterfalls whispered along the edges, their sound barely louder than a breath. The temple spires hovered in the water surface, trembling gently with each ripple. For a moment, we didn't move. We just stood there between flowers and the water. After that small pause, that little gift of stillness, we turned toward the conference center. We approached the conference center and stepped inside through the tall, heavy doors, doors that felt less like an entrance and more like a passage into the next layer of the city's secret. Inside, the air shifted again. Friendly members of the Mormon Church greeted us with warm smiles, asking gently if we were seeking God. Their voices were soft, melodic, echoing faintly in the vastness of the lobby. But we had a different mission, not heavenly, but high. We were here to meet the city from the roof. Still, another set of doors caught our attention before we could explain ourselves. They were enormous, carved, polished, and slightly ajar, as if waiting for us. A faint glow spilled through the gap, and something inside tugged at us with the same quiet insistence we'd felt all day. We followed the urge. The moment we stepped through, the space opened into a colossal hall, a cavern of red seats stretching out like a silent sea. The air was thick with stillness, the kind that feels sacred even when no one is speaking. And at the far end, towering above everything, stood the giant organ. Its pipes rose like metallic spires, hundreds of them, gleaming faintly in the dim light. It felt alive, not playing, but listening. The hall was empty, yet it didn't feel empty. It felt aware, as if the building itself had paused to watch us, as if the organ, with its countless pipes, was holding its breath waiting to see what we would do next. We stood there for a moment, swallowed by the scale of it all. The silence, the red seats, the towering organ that looked like it could summon storms if it chose to. But the rooftops were calling again, and the city, with all its quiet tests and gentle traps, wasn't done guiding us upward. We turned back toward the lobby, toward the next staircase, the next elevator, the next height, waiting above the city streets. Before reaching the rooftop with its hanging gardens and sweeping city views, we found ourselves drawn into another unexpected space, a hall on the third floor. There was almost nothing in it. No furniture, no sound, a couple people. In the very center of the room, inside a glass box, stood the perfect replica of the Salt Lake Temple. Small, intricate, glowing faintly under the soft lights. And through the tall windows behind it, the real temple rose outside, massive and silent, its granite walls and spires aligning eerily with the miniature version before us. It was a surreal experience, like standing between two mirrors that reflect the same truth at a different scales. The replica felt like a memory. The real temple felt like a presence, and we were caught in the space between them. Along the glass wall, the bronze busts of the whole of the prophets watch us with calm, unmoving eyes. Every president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stood there in metal silence, heads slightly tilted, expressions frozen in thought. Their gaze wasn't hostile, but it wasn't passive either. It felt like they were observing us, measuring something, weighing something, as we stood between the miniature temple and the real one outside. The whole hall felt like a threshold, a place where the city's past and present overlapped for a moment, revealing a layer of meaning we were not meant to fully understand. We lingered only for a moment, because the rooftops were still calling, and the city with its hidden creek, its watchful gardens, its quiet tests was guiding us upward again, toward the hanging gardens and the next secret waiting above the streets. We finally reached the roof with its hanging gardens. Though calling it a roof felt almost dishonest. The moment we stepped out, it was clear that wasn't a rooftop. It was a temple square above the city. Trees and shrubs spilled over the edges of the terraces, their branches hanging downwards as if reaching toward the streets below. The greenery didn't feel planted, it felt suspended, floating like a garden that had grown upward instead of outward. Several small groups of people stood scattered across the rooftop, leaning against the railings, watching the city bustle far beneath them. But they never stayed long. One group would drift away just as another arrived. shifting and dissolving like a human kaleidoscope. Their presence felt tempered, almost choreographed, as if they were part of the rooftop's rhythm rather than visitors like us. We wandered slowly, drifting from one corner to another, letting the heights settle in our bones. The air felt different up here, thinner, quieter, touched by something ancient and watchful. A wide open terrace where the hanging trees stretched their branches downwards like long arms, as if trying to catch the tiny people rushing through their busy lives below. The branches swayed gently in the breeze, casting moving shadows across the stone floor, shadows that looked almost like fingers brushing the surface. From here, the city looked small. The streets were thin lines. The cars were flickers of light. The people were dots moving in patterns they didn't know they were part of. It felt like we had stepped into a place the city kept hidden for itself, a place meant to be found only by those who insisted on climbing. And for a moment, standing beneath the hanging trees, we felt like we had reached the heart of the mystery. We stayed on that perfect rooftop longer than we planned, drifting between the hanging trees, letting the wind brush past us like a messenger carrying secrets from the mountains. From up here, the city looked almost innocent, small, orderly, as if all its mysteries, the disappearing creek, the whispering halls, the watchful temple, were nothing more than tricks of perspective. Eventually, the rooftop began to empty again. The kaleidoscope of visitors shifted, dissolved, reformed. The city below kept moving, unaware that we were watching it from a garden suspended in the sky. And slowly, the spell loosened. It was time to go. We took one last look at the Wasatch Range, the jagged gardens rising beyond the city, and then stepped back toward the stairs, leaving the hanging gardens swaying gently behind us. The rooftop didn't try to stop us. It simply watched us go, the way every place that day had watched us, quietly, knowingly, as if we were following a path the city itself had drawn. Back on the ground, the noise returned. Cars, footsteps, voices, life rushing forward again. But something had changed. We had climbed through the city layers, from the hidden creek to the whispering walls to the suspended gardens, and now the streets felt different, as if they were holding their breath for the next chapter. And the next chapter was waiting. Just beyond the Capitol building, tall, proud, impossible to ignore, sits a small museum almost no one notices. A place overshadowed by the most important building in the state. A place easy to miss unless you're looking for it. But we are always looking. And the Pioneer Memorial Museum, quiet and unassuming in the Capitol's shadow, has its own stories to tell. stories that don't hide in the ground or whisper from the rooftops. Stories preserved in objects and memories, in the echoes of people who built this place long before the city learned to keep secrets. That is where the next mystery begins. But before we shift to the next mystery, up on the rooftop, time felt different, almost like a sundial waiting to be read.